Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our live studio, and welcome to the Future Diplomats School of Diplomacy. I will just wait for a while to get some of our colleagues get on, uh, so I can give us the rules and regulation about our training program. Uh, if you are listening to me, if you can hear me, can you please just signal by raising up your hand so I can know that you're hearing me? If you can raise up your hand so I can understand that my headset is working, that would be great. Can you please check that if it's working? Because can you please check if people are hearing me? That's what I'm asking. Because the headset sometimes they're not hearing. If you are hearing me, can you please raise up your hand so I can make sure that you hear me as we get started today? All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ambassador David, are you online? I'll be calling someone right now. Ambassador, let me call. Ambassador Mercy, you should be online. I'm a Mercy. Samia, are you online? Can you please let me know? I'm calling you right now before class begins. Are you online? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I want you to be if the class once the class gets started and people start asking questions, please be looking. I can now see down my screen. Just copy the question and send it to my WhatsApp number, my phone. Yeah, then I'll be able to get the question for and answer the questions. Thank you. All right, so we are pretty well set. We glad. Oh God, I see a lot of you hands are coming up, indicating uh, indicating I need to put some light on here, indicating that you are hearing me, and I do appreciate you for your cooperation. Uh, Today, it's just going to be a time for our orientation, and actually, classes should be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But we're doing today as an orientation, and then I will give us a couple of lessons for us to go over today. And so tomorrow there will be no class. I'm making an announcement now before I do that. Uh, uh, at the end, tomorrow there will be no class for us since we are hosting you today. Be mindful of your days. Again, I said Tuesdays and Thursdays for the first batch of section. I know I have a lot of people who are participating in the training, so I do expect to have two different sections. I don't know yet. The first group may be on Mondays. Not for you. Your group is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm trying to get the second group of 300 people to be on Mondays and Fridays. So this group is Tuesday and Thursday, but we are starting today on Monday simply uh, because we today is our orientation. I'm going to give you some as I try to get in my notes here. I'm going to give you some general rules and regulation. Want to be the first to say we had some technical difficulties this morning. That's why we were not uh, online as at 10 o'clock. I mean 11 o'clock our time, California time, as we stated from our announcements and your preparation. Uh, at the same time, hold on 1 minute. Let me get my notes here. At the same time, so we want to apologize to you on that. Most of you came on time, and I knew that this training is important to you. That the evidence of the training. So I will first of all apologize because our rules and regulations require that student need to be in class before the professor comes and you have to be in class uh, on time, not 10 minutes late. If you are 10 minutes late, you will be considered absent for that day. If you are 10 minutes late in class, you'll be considered absent for that day. There is no exception. You may participate in the lecture, you may hear what is going on, but you will not be given credit for that day. So every time you come in, there will be a stem when you log into our program. Uh, there will be a stem time that will shows that shows when you log in, and be mindful of your time. Students cannot come in late of our program, and student cannot log out early of the program. You have to be in class when we begin. We gave you 10 minutes grace period, and after the 10 minutes we start counting you late. And also you can log off uh, 10, uh, uh, 10 minutes earlier than your time. You will also be considered late. So let's take those uh, into serious considerations as we begin our studies today. Another thing is that most of your colleagues may not have the opportunity to attend this section with you because this section is on a or the training is on a uh, notifying those of us who have subscribed to the YouTube channel. Those of us who are subscribed to the YouTube channel, we are the ones that will be are successful in completing the training. In other words, if you know someone who has not subscribed to the YouTube channel, they have not put on the notification bell, they will not be able to participate in our training today. Um, so we for attendance every time you come to class, another announcement, please keep key attention and listen to me because these instructions are effective. If you are unable to follow the instruction, you will not be able to complete your training. You will not be able to effectively complete your training. Attendance is uh, mandatory, so you have to attend classes. What I want you to do beginning now, I know you are listening to me beginning now. What I want you to do uh, is to type in your full name. Type in your full name and the country you're from. You need to type in that in the question and answer or the chat box. Please begin typing your full name. Anytime you come to class, type your full name and the country you're from. We're going to use your tap name as a registration for that day. And at the same time, we're going to see that you are participating. We know that you are there, and we're going to use that name, your full name, to follow up with you on your credentials. So please, uh, I will ask you to please begin typing in your full name and the country you're from. Again, we're going to use your full name as you being part of the class. As you being part of the class. As you begin to type in your full name, you're going to be having a set of book, and I'm going to ask you to also type in your full name and your email address. That's what I meant. Your type in your full name. Please, I'm so sorry. Type in your full name, your email address in your country. Now, what's going to happen? We're going to start emailing you your textbooks right now. Your textbooks will be going to your general email. We're going to be using this textbook. Is called Diplomacy in the 21st Century, and this book is written by Paul Schack, right? So we're going to be sending in your textbooks right now to you. So we need your email so we can send to you the textbooks. Uh, I believe the textbooks can be uploaded into the chat room as well. So if that can be uploaded, I will ask Ambassador David to please upload the textbook into the chat room. Uh, our training is based upon the textbook again, Diplomacy in the 21st Century by Paul Schack. We're also going to be having other supplementary materials that have been compiled by me. So the textbooks come with what we call a study guide. Your textbook will come with what we call a study guide. Uh, the study guide is a guide that was prepared by me to help you understand the course and the course material. Uh, so if you have tapped your email, please step in your email again with your full name, and Ambassador David, please. Oh, sorry, Ambassador. Yeah, David. We please try to email you all the textbooks that you need. So the textbooks come to you free of charge, folks. You see, everything we're trying to do is to prepare you for membership into the future diplomats to make you effective and efficient. So this training today is free of charge, and your textbooks will be free of charge. The study guide is free. Everything to you today is free. Do not allow anybody to tell you to pay money for the textbooks you're getting. Do not allow anybody to say anything you're going to pay for it when you get online. These things today to you, they are free, right? Uh, it will not always be free. I know most times we love free things, but remember that sometimes we'll be asking for people like you who have the heart and the passion to donate. Remember, someone has paid for this training for you to get all the textbooks and all the materials, and you have to do likewise. You have to be honest. You have to understand that you have to be a giver. You have to participate in what is happening. So remember, somebody paid for you today, so today is free. But next time, I will ask you to contribute to other people so that they can have the access to this training. Uh, Ambassador David, as I'm not sure you have sent up the textbooks if you're online because I'm not seeing email addresses coming up. Uh, so if you're there, please email us. We cannot start with all your textbooks. We want to make sure that you have gotten your textbooks. Uh, so we can go with the textbooks. Have you gotten your textbook? Please inbox your email as well. Please send your email online, please. I'm still saying this. Please send your email just in the chat room or email Ambassador Daniel, sorry, Ambassador David for your textbooks. Ambassador David for your textbooks. Ambassador David, if you start getting, can you please step in here so the people can know that you're alive so they can start getting your textbooks? Okay, Ambassador David just said, please send your emails. Please send your email addresses, people, for your textbook. Okay? Uh, People are not still sending the emails. So, let me see here. Yes, waiting for your email addresses before I continue, please. Please send your email. Um, uh, Are you getting the email? Please send your email for your textbooks so we can begin. Ambassador David, have you distributed the textbooks? Please let me know. We have at least 52 people by now starting the training. And so 52 of you should be receiving your textbooks and receiving your email. Remember, with all the textbooks, you cannot successfully complete the program because you have to study the textbooks and you have to answer the questions that come into the study guide. So again, your textbook is going to be uh, the material written by Paul Sharp, and it's called Diplomacy in the 21st Century. Diplomacy in and you see that the textbooks, they have a lot of these books out there, but you see our textbook will come with the seal again of our institution. You see the textbooks that you're going to receive from us comes with the seal of the School of Diplomacy of the future diplomats. So the textbook will be this, but it comes with a seal. Reason being that there are a lot of textbooks out there, and if you don't have the right book that we are using for our course, you will not be able to effectively answer the questions that come with the study guide, and you will not be able to pass those questions. So make sure when you receive your textbook, it must have the seal of the Future Diplomat School of Diplomacy. Reason being, this book will be the official book that you need to help you pass your final exam. Talking about the final exam, I believe that everybody will pass. Our goal is to effectively train and prepare you for your career. So don't be nervous about that. You can take the test over and over and again, over and again. Uh, Ambassador David, please send me a message, a text message. If you have received some emails and sent some of the books, I need to begin. I'm waiting for you to tell me that you have sent some of the books. Because people are saying that they have sent their emails, but I'm not hearing that they said they have received the book. Somebody asked, and this question came from Ambassador Joanne Ducot. She said, "What if one is in class and suddenly network problem pops up and I cannot continue? Will one be marked absent?" Show. You have to complete the class. If your network drops off, you have to make sure and get back on within 5 minutes. If your network gets off, you have to make sure and get back within 5 minutes. If you do not do within 5 minutes, if you do not get back within 5 minutes, change your location and get back in 5 minutes, you will still be considered late. Reason being, we have a lot of people sending me messages and said they had a network problem and that's why they drop off. And people will start being unethical to leave the class and see it's a network problem. We have that so many times. People will say, well, I never completed the training because I have a network problem. If you have a network problem, try to change your location, try to get back within 5 minutes. If you leave early before class ends, you are considered to be absent and you will have to repeat the class. Ambassador David, people are asking where they're supposed to send their address. Please respond to the people, Ambassador David. Send your email address online. Let them send you the email. They need the books. You are not responding to the people, Ambassador of David. We have to get the class started. Everybody saying they send their emails, but you're not responding if you see the book. I need to call you. Remember, this is recorded, and I don't really know what you're doing, and I'm responding to the people in the classroom. I need to call you now so that uh, I can know what's going on. All right, if you sending the students the book, if you send the students the book, you have to respond to them because people are asking where they need to sit. Okay, please respond into the chat room. Someone is asking where they need to send the book, either to your email where. So you got to pay attention into the chat room to and respond to the people. All right. All right. So yes. All right. So let's begin. So this course provides an introduction to the theory and practice of diplomacy and the vital role that diplomacy plays in our uh, field of diplomacy and what we call in the era of increasing international uncertainties. Or someone said, "We are here, please." Yes, I'm talking. I know you are here. I sent my email, but yet to receive my textbook. Okay, Ambassador David said he's sending out the textbooks. He's sending out the textbooks. He's sending out the textbook. Uh, no, you cannot send it on the chat platform. Uh, if you send it here, Ambassador David will find out, but you cannot send it on the YouTube on the YouTube because now we're live. So please, this is just an orientation, folks. Don't worry. Everyone of you who will not receive your book today, there'll be no class tomorrow. We will also try to get the books to you between today and tomorrow, so you can continue reading your course book, and be able and the study guide and be able to get your course in hand. So no fight, no worry, folks. All right. Those of you who have gotten your course book, uh uh, we're going to we're going to look at that. But again, the purpose of this class and the course will provide also what we call an introductory uh, 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 section, and it will introduce us to the theory and practice of diplomacy, and how diplomacy is vitally important, and the role it plays in our era on uncertainties. In our era on uncertainties simply means we all understand what's happening around the world. We are not certain about tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next. How can we be prepared as diplomats for what is about to take place or what will take place? Our course, please be patient, folks. You keep asking where we're going to get the books. You're going to get the book. Just email Ambassador David your email address, and the textbook is going to be provided for you free of charge. All right, don't rush, we got you covered. Our course for these 6 weeks, remember your course, the training is between 6 to 7 weeks. 6 weeks will be your training. The 7 week is your preparation for your exam. uh, and you have to pass this course to get your membership ID card and to get other credentials as an ambassador with us. Okay. So our course will look at what we call a diplomatic perspective on international relations and how diplomat gives a rise to the set of priorities. Again, if we look at our objectives of this course, we'll be looking at the diplomatic perspective on international relations and how it gives rise to the set of priorities. There are 3 things that we're going to look at as a set of priorities as we begin talking about our course. The first, we will look at the peaceful resolution of disputes. Some people do not know how to handle disputes. Some people do not know how to avoid conflict. And as diplomats, we'll be looking at the peaceful resolution of disputes. We also go on the second thing we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking mm, at the advanced. Folks, don't rush. You're going to get your books. Don't rush. Don't rush. The second thing I said will be we'll look at the avoidance of unwanted conflict. The avoidance of unwanted conflict. How can we avoid conflicts as diplomats? We're going to be looking at the third point. At we'll be concentrating on the minimization of the intensity of violent conflict where it has become unavoided. We'll be looking at uh, what we call the intensity of violent conflict where it has become unavoided. Look around the world today. There are conflicts everywhere in the world. Conflict, conflict, conflict. Uh, Part of our goal is to be looking at who is a diplomat. Why do we need diplomacy in our society today? In fact, why study, or diplomacy and international relations? What are the goals? Uh, and what are the goals and the responsibilities of becoming an effective diplomat? And how can diplomats be able to relate to others around the world? The course is divided into three sections. The course is divided into three sections. Uh, I hope some of you getting your book. Don't rush. We're going to go through that book. Just receive your books and just follow me as I talk. We're going to get to the course book pretty soon. You got to be attentive because some of the things I'm saying, folks, get a pen and a notebook. Please get a pen and a notebook so that you can be able to take notes. Some of the things I'm talking to you about in my presentation, they are not in your books. And some of those things will come on your test question. I always call that side notes. So please get a notebook, get pen, and take notes because some of the things that I'm talking about you will not find out in your notebook, but they will come on your test question. That's how that shows that you are taking note and you are listening to me. Everything I'm saying to you is very much important right now. So please listen to me and take notes. Stop worrying about the books. You have the book between today and tomorrow to read. So just send us your email and you will get the book for the class. Just send us your email, you will get a book for the class. Thank you, my people. I understand your frustration, uh, and I understand your pain, right? But we'll get through this together. I can guarantee we'll get through this together. So please just take notes right now. Take notes right now. So I said the course is divided into three sections. Take note of these three sections. Your course is divided into three sections. Uh, Take note of these three sections. The first section of your course examines the what, WHAT, what. The first section of our course will examine the what of diplomacy. In other words, listen to me. In other words, the what is meant, what is meant when we talk about diplomacy. What do we mean, in other words, when we talk about diplomacy? Why we need diplomats and the operations of the modern diplomacy system of states. Again, take this note. Our first part of the course we examine what we mean when we talk about diplomacy. That's the what. It's talk about the why. Why we need diplomats today in the world, why we need diplomats in our setting, and why future diplomats also need diplomats around the world. We're also going to be looking about the how, and the how I relate to our operations, diplomatic operations, the operations of modern diplomatic states, or the system of states. In other words, we're going to be studying about other countries in diplomacy and how these countries relate to each other. That's the first section of our course. The second, in the second part, we'll discuss three bads. Take note of that. Take note of this. We'll be talking about three bads. BADS. Three bads. The three bads are things that people worry about. Again, the three bads are things that people worried about. Bad leaders. The first bad, we'll be looking at bad leaders in diplomacy. Bad leaders. We're going to be looking at bad media. MEDIA. Bad media. And the third bad will be bad followers. Again, remember, we'll be talking about three bads in the second section of our training: bad leaders, bad media, and bad followers. Now, when we talk about bad in our coursework, we'll be looking at what we will be considering the terms of bad as I would call the moral character. Take notes. When we talk about three bads, we'll be talking about the moral character, professional competence. Competence is spelled COMPETENCE. We'll be talking about professional competence and the consequences of what people do for us. Now, when we talk about bad, when we consider the term bad in our study notes, we'll be having three things. Those of you who can tap and continue to repeat what I'm saying in the chat room for your friends or for your classmate to get that, please tap it in. We will be talking about three bads in our course today. And as we continue to go about for the 6 weeks, we'll be looking at when we talk about bad refer to our moral character as diplomats, our moral character as ambassadors, our professional competence. Again, I said competence is spelled COMPETENCE. Competence. What the competence that we need, the skills and capability we need to become effective and efficient ambassadors and diplomatic agents around the world. We'll also be looking at the consequence of what people do. Hear me, folks, as an ambassador, anything that you do has a consequence. Consequence either to the people you serve or consequence either to yourself. So we need to understand there are bad or good consequences that we get as we serve as diplomats in our perfection. And these three things we're going to be looking at. And then the final section of our training, we'll be discussing what we call diplomacy and bad diplomats. Remember the first three bad were bad leaders. Remember to take note: bad leaders, bad media, bad follow-ups. Now the last section, we will now be looking at bad diplomacy and diplomats. They're not all diplomacy around the world that is good. They're not all diplomacy around the world that are good. Got some bad diplomacies, bad policies, and bad people involved in diplomacy. How can we learn the bads of all us so that we can avoid a mistake and we can become effective and efficient to our generation, excuse me, and to the people we serve? It is important to know the bad. We are not learning the bad so that we can be bad diplomats. We are not learning the bad so that we can be bad ambassadors. We are learning the bad so we can learn from the mistakes of those who have been who been ahead of us, we can learn from the mistakes and we can become effective and efficient ambassadors so that we can be able to serve our country, serve our people, serve the world. Uh, yes, let me make sure the note that you put in is correct. Ambassador, I'm a mercy, you're correct. To the bad leaders, bad media, and bad followers. Follow-ups is not follow-ups, so it's follower people who are following you, so it's followers, so it's followers, bad followers, so it's followers as ones are those who are following, are the ones who are following us, right? So you got it correct, but just that the last one was bad followers, someone who are following. So it's bad leaders, bad media, bad followers, someone who's following us. Thank you, Ambassador. Uh, I'm a mercy, Samuel. You just put that. That's great. So that's the three bads we're gonna be looking at in our course. The three bads we're gonna be looking at in our course. So like I said, the course book. Most of you have gotten your course book. It's gonna be the course Diplomacy in the 21st Century, written by Professor Paul Sharp. Paul Sharp is a great instrument to the diplomatic community. He teaches international relations at some of the top leading universities here in the United States of America, and we believe that his book will have been essential, something great for us to use. Again, like I said, if you have your book, it must have the seal of the School of Future Diplomats. Reason being, this book is the approved and original copy that will help you to be able to answer the test questions and be able to work along with the study guards. They have different types of production, and some of the books do not have all the information that are needed. I mean, in other copies of the book. So just be mindful of the book that you receive. All right. So this book is a primary textbook that most universities use here in the United States of America and other parts of the world on international diplomacy. And it's also used as a supplementary text for courses on issues or complementary issues on international relations. It's a good book for international relations, and we're going to be doing that. I'm still going slowly with the introduction with the hope that people are getting the books because I'm going to turn into the book right now for us to continue. Well, just remember that your textbook comes with a study guide. So you should be receiving two materials from Ambassador David. Not just a textbook, but it comes with a study guide. That study guide was prepared by me, your DG, the director. It comes in line with that book. You need the study guide, again, like I said, to successfully complete the course. So you want to ask, what is the purpose of this study guide when I have the book? The purpose of the study guide is to ensure that you, who is the student, have a thorough understanding of the textual materials, and you have fully integrated the information contained within the material, and you can have a broader understanding or broader diplomatic perspective of the world. Through the textbook and the study guide, you will be able to answer questions that will be posed to you, and we want you to answer those questions both technically and reflectively. Now, when I say technically, I want you to understand that your question in the text in the study guide has to be giving a technical answer. That is, it should be accurate and specific. In your study guide, your answer should be specific to the question. Your study guide is going to worth 25 to 50% of your final grade. Again, the study guide is going to work 25 to 50% of your grades, your final grades, all depend on what the professor deems to grant you. Right? So pay key attention to the questions. Answer the question accurate and be specific to the question in your study guide. Do not beat around the bush. Do not say some things that are not necessary. Don't do that. You can make research and add some information because I and the professors want to see that you are making studies and you are making research and answering these questions. So answer the questions according to your notebook. At the same time, do not copy word for word. Word for word is forbidden your in your responses. Uh, it's called plagiarism. If you just copy someone go on the internet and Google someone response and put it and just put it in your study guide to answer your question. It's forbidden for you to take someone's idea and put it in your study guide as an answer. We make research on all these answers that we receive. We make cross references throughout the internet with plagiarism check and check marker. So if you took anything from the internet in response to and make a research, please give that person credit. Whatever part of the internet you took your answer from to go into the study guide, please give that person their credit or put the link in the study guide where you got your answer because we do not want a word for word copy from the internet to bring to us. You may think you have done that, but that's going to be the wrong thing to do. Uh, Receive my textbook. Okay, someone just said I received my textbook. Thank God you received your textbook. I was worrying about some of you. Thank God you received your textbook. And please receive your textbook with this study guide. This study guide. Two materials. One file should be the textbook in PDF form. The other file should be your study guide. And your study guide comes in what we call the Microsoft Word because we want you to type in your answer. Some of you can print it out and write in with your hand, but it's if you type it in, that's preferable. All right. So the test the study guide gives you the opportunity to interact with the textbook. Right. So the study guide I developed for this class gives you an opportunity to interact with your textbooks. You can read your textbook and go back to the study guide and answer those questions. It's an interaction section. It's like you are in class and the professor is presenting a topic, presenting your lecture. And what you need to do is to ask questions, and you are not. And one of the ways to ask question is to go to your study guide and say, these are the questions to ask. And these are the questions that the professor is asking me. So it's an interaction with your textbook. Please also in your study guide write some questions that you may want to ask. Read when as you begin reading your book, write some questions that you want to ask. And I will say to you, send those questions to us. Okay? Send a question to us as student services at FD School of Diplomacy.org. Student services at FD School of Diplomacy.org. Send those questions to us, and we will be able to answer those questions for you and send you answers so you can interact with us as your professors outside of the classroom. So read your book, ask those questions, and send us those questions to again student services. That STUDENTSERVICES, one word, student services at FD, F as in Frank, D as in dog, school, school, Now, if you have the email address, can you please post it online too, as I just read, so so those can have it to send us the information or question. So read your textbook, take note of where you are confused or you have doubts and you need clarity, uh and email us your questions. As we also talk right now, you can also email us your question. We'll be able to respond. Still looking for questions, no question yet. Now, once you complete your study guide, every week there's going to be an assignment. So before the week comes to before today class, I'm going to give you an assignment from your textbook. You're going to read you're going to read the chapter. You're going to work on your assignment and you're going to send your assignment to me. Again, you're going to read your assignment, read the textbook, and you're going to send your assignment to me by Sunday, 11:59, whatever time you are. 11:59 West Africa time, Central Africa time, and those are also in the United States Pacific time. 11:59 every Sunday before Monday, your assignment needs to be in. If your assignment comes to us 12 o'clock or 12 o'clock on the dot is Monday, your assignment is late. You can send your assignment anytime to us between now, when the assignment is given, up to 11:59, a minute to 12 o'clock Monday morning. You have to send your assignment in, and your assignment will be graded, and your assignment will be sent back to you. Again, it's way that we know that you engage in these 6 weeks with your study book, and you are able to complete the book. 300 pages of this course book. You are able to complete the course book in the 6 or 7 weeks that we have been allocated to complete your training. Your answers should be of your assignment should be typewriting to me in Microsoft Word in a Word Perfect document and attached to to the email. Again, instruction. Your assignment has to be typed. It's part of the way that we know that you are diplomats and you know how to present a document. So part of the assignment shows that you are a diplomat and you know how to present a document. So your assignment needs to be double space tapped in a perfect, sorry, in the Word perfect document and email to us in an attachment form. If you need a sample of how to submit your document, you can also email us or contact me. I can send you a sample of what I'm talking about so that your assignment must follow those instructions. I can send you an example of what I'm talking about. If you need that, just request that how to submit your assignments, double space, format attached to your student. Okay. I will say I have my phone BB. I thought it was question. No question. Okay, folks. You keep sending me. I'm not seeing my textbook yet. I'm seeing you gotta wait. We're having 76 people or more going through this training right now, and the Ambassador David is sending out the textbooks along with the study guide. So just wait, you're going to get yours. If you are sending him your email, if you send him your email, you're going to get yours. All right. So you're going to return the study guide to me. And once you return the study guide to me, at the end of the course, I will tell you when I need a study guide. I will grade all your answers within the study guide. I will make comments, and I will tell you what was relating to the text and what was not relating to the text, and additional research that you made for you to get your credit to complete the course. All right. So if you have the study guide, let's go through your study guide. Those of you who have the study guide already from Ambassador David, let's review the study guide. I want everybody to listen to me. If you don't have the study guide yet, the study guide again is a piece of material. Those of you just joined, it's a piece of material that is attached to your textbook, but separate, that was developed by me, Ernest Gibson, your DG, to be able to help you interact with the course book. Okay. Thank God. Ambassador Jim said, I got my I got my textbook and study guide. All right. Thank God for that. You see people receiving the textbook and the study guide. Uh, okay. For textbook for making provision. Okay, someone said, Julia said, thank you, DJ, for making the textbook available. So I believe that you got your textbook as well. Another person said, Mary said, I haven't seen mine too. You will get your textbook soon. All right, but let's continue. Now let's look at the study guide. So you have gotten the study guide. Let's look at the study guide. Uh, the study guide is composed of three major sections. Please, folks, I'm giving you all this information, all this introduction still, because they are very much important for you to be able to successfully complete this course. And those of you who want to continue in the School of Diplomats, this course will use to be one of your stepping stones to prepare you to continue and get a diploma in diplomacy and leadership with us. We're not going to go through this course again. It's just not just for membership. This is for our membership, introductory course for our membership. But if you want to continue with the School of Diplomacy, you're still going to get credit. All this credit going to be transferred to your actual program. So, and I'm not going to go through this course again with you if you want to advance yourself in your career. So just follow the instructions, because this is where we're going to stop. I'm not going to give you these instructions uh, after now. So the study guide is composed of three sections. The first section, if you open your study guide, you will have what they call chapters in the study guide. So the chapters in the study guide is introduction to the chapter of the book. So the chapter in the study guide, if you open your study guide now, turn to your study guide, folks. In your study guide, in your study guide, the first place you will see, the first part of your study guide that you will find will be the introduction to the chapter. The introduction to the chapter. If you read the introduction to it tells you about the chapter of the book that you're going to be looking at. The second thing you need to pay attention at on the chapters will be the lesson objectives. The lesson objectives are important. It tells you what the instructor is looking for. It tells you what the course writer is looking for in that chapter. Sometimes it comes as a research question to you by the end of your training. Sometimes it comes in test questions. So pay key attention to what we call the lesson objectives. If I were you, I would find another notebook and write the lesson objectives from every chapter. And as I read the chapter, I find to discover the lesson objectives by myself and for myself. Knowing the lesson objectives from every chapter makes you to understand that you have understood the chapter. And sometimes, again, like I said, the professor brings that in the test question or as a research question to make sure that you understood the chapter. Also, on the chapters, you're going to find what we call study questions. So those are things under the chapter. So the first section will be the chapter's introduction, lesson objectives, and study questions. Make sure you answer those study questions in, with the information that are necessary. Again, because your professor is going to grade those answers. Uh, the second session of your study guide, and it's very important. The second session of your study guide, the study guide you're going to have, the second session of your study guide, you will see what we call course study notes. The course study notes are not part of the notes from your textbook. The course study notes are important study information that are related to the purpose and membership of the future diplomats. Those study notes are important. They come in your final test. So read the study notes. As you read your textbook, when you read the study guide, look in the study guide and read the study notes. Be acquainted. Know the information that are part of the study notes. They are important to your training. And the last section of your study guide is what we call the student's study journal. Again, it's the student study journal. In your study journal, let me ask a question. They said, where do we send our assignments to? Uh, let me see if I can put this in here. Email will be at the student services at future diplomats as FD SCHOOL School of Diplomacy DIPLOMACY.org. Okay, I just sent to you. Where do you send your study materials? I'm sorry, where do you send your assignment? The assignment should be sent to student services at FD School of Diplomacy.org. It's where you send your assignment to your student services. All right. Now let's talk about the study journal. Your study journal have will tell you to write a brief paper. In that brief paper, it's going to be a summary of your course. The summary of your course. What did you learn within the 6 weeks? You're going to send us a documentary um, of your study and your research. And the instructions will be given when the time comes. What to do, what we look for in your study briefing, and where to send it to is also going to be sent to the email address that I just posted. In your study journal, look at the back. It's also required you to have what we call student activities. In the student activities section, we want you to document every time you attend class, like today, the time you came to class, and be ethical about that. The time you came to class, the STEM time, the time you are leaving class. Also, throughout the week, the day you took your book to study, put the date, the time you started your study, and the time you complete your study. We call it student activities. The reason being, we want to see how much time you're spending on your course and your coursework. a part of you getting credit. It's part, and you're going to send us your student journal as well. We want to know how many hours you spend a day reading your course material and answering your questions. So I will ask for the student journal, what we call the student activities. If you look at the back of your study guide, it's there, activities, time you read, day one, day two. We gave you up to, uh, uh, you know, 10 days or how many days, just put in the days and you can continue to do that. Then at the end, we're going to have what we call the course evaluation. The course evaluation in the study guide tells us how you did about the course. Right, so that's about the study guide. Is there any questions so far before we jump to your textbook? Any questions so far? All right. So, uh, one ambassador asked, is it possible to get your email address, sir? Ambassador David, you have to supply the email address to the people to get the textbook on. Ambassador David, you have to supply your email address. If you can post your email address, no need having an email address. If you can post your email address on so that the people can be able to send you the textbook. Or if you don't have an email address for your textbook, just send me your name. Just send me your name, please. And say I don't have my textbook. Just simple sentence. Don't send me a long email and send it to student services at future the email address FD to the email address posted, right? Just send me an email to the email address that I posted online, and we're going to get you the books. Another person asked, Ambassador Peters asked, where do we send the assignment? I think you're just coming in. I just said send your assignment is going to be sent to the email that I just posted online. Please, folks, if you're just joining, please make sure you are following the conversation. Do not just come and start asking questions. Another person asked, what if a student's email has been hacked he and he ceases to use it? Can one make his submission people are pending an email? Hey, come on, folks. Come on, folks. Stop asking some questions that we just throw our class back. Let's ask questions that are reasonable. If your email address is hacked, you know you cannot do business with an email. Don't send your information on WhatsApp. Create another email address. Email address is free to create. Create another email address, send it to your professor and say my email has been hacked. All right? Just create another email address, either Yahoo, Gmail, whatever. These are not questions really relating to our code. You ask your teacher in the background and say my email has been hacked. In the chat room, what can I do? Your email has not hacked yet, so we should not, throw the class back by asking some questions that we are going to throw everybody back, folks. Please. If your email is hacked, it's very simple. Create another email address. Email your school and tell them my email was hacked. I changed my email address. Very simple, right? Very, very simple. Thank you. Um, because of email, how you cannot reactivate it to use that same email. I will advise you if your email is hard, don't try to reactivate to use that same email. There's no need. Create a new email, continue your studies. All right. It's for your own benefit, my friend. It's for your own benefit. If you want to continue the course, the study with us, that good. If you don't want to, it's okay. We understand. But that's for your own benefit. All right. So I will do everything I can do to continue my study if even my email is hard. Okay. Let's go to chapter 1 of your textbook. Can you please open your textbook? If you have your textbook, you can open your textbook on your computer. I will advise that you download your textbook on the computer because it will be very thin to use your cell phone as app during this presentation. You are listening to your cell phone and you're also doing the textbook. yes, the recording will always be available for those who are subscribed on how to call you our YouTube channel. You can go over and over again and watch this. Ambassador Mercy, uh, Cyril, Cyril, or however you pronounce your name. I'm sorry if I misspelled or I mean did not pronounce your name. Yes, the recording will always be available on on our YouTube channel. But turn to your textbook. I mean, turn to your study guide or your textbook, and each and every one you have that you can open. And the first thing we're going to be talking about in chapter one is looking at diplomacy and diplomats. Chapter one in your textbook, if you have your textbook, is looking at what we call diplomacy and diplomats. And there is a key question that I want you to pay attention to in that textbook or in that chapter. The, the key question is on top. What are we talking about when we talk about diplomacy? What are we talking about when we talk about diplomacy? The first chapter in that textbook provides an introduction to our entire course. Again, the first chapter in the textbook provides an introduction to the entire course. The first section notes that the book is both a textbook and a work for advancing the importance of diplomacy. So the first section tells us of your textbook that the book is both a text, which means it's a book, and also it's a work for advancing diplomacy in our era where uncertainties of international relations are unseen. Okay? Uh the textbook the chapter explores. The author tried to expand on two definitions of diplomacy, and we're going to look at that pretty soon. The author or the first chapter looks at two definitions of diplomacy. One of the one of the definitions of diplomacy, according to the author, is vague, and the other has some values. Both of them has values, but the second is what the author of the textbook centers most of his attention. Um, so he wanted talking about, and the second definition, the author look at four elements that every definition of diplomacy must involve. Now pay key attention to this, what I just said. The second definition of the textbook, the author pays key attention to four elements that every definition of diplomacy must involve. Those four elements are key elements that you must know and master at your fingertip. Those four elements are key that you must master at your fingertip. Um, and that's the first section. So the second section of the chapter explains why diplomacy of countries that we call states remains important. Why diplomacy of these countries are important, and why diplomacy of the future diplomats is also important. And we may paraphrase or say, the author also in the second section, he tried to distinguish between diplomacy and diplomacy of relations and diplomacy of problems. Now pay key attention when you begin to read your book about of diplomacy of problems and diplomacy of relations. Relations. R-E-L-A-T. Now Diplomacy of problems is sometimes it become a misconception about the truth of diplomacy. What do we mean, and what the author was talking about in that book? Diplomacy of of problems simply mean the word has a lot of problems, and we must have diplomatic institutions to solve those problems. Example, the United Nations be, was founded because of diplomacy of problems. What it means and what the author is concentrating on. For example, like I say, United Nations started 1945 when the war, or what we call World War II, when the bombs were falling. So they had a problem to resolve. And so United Nations came into operation because of diplomatic of problems. So many people think that if they can build an institution to solve problems, those are then diplomacy has been established. The author also look at what we call diplomacy of relations. A diplomacy of relations simply talk about people to people diplomacy. It's key. So diplomacy of problems is different from diplomacy of of relations. So the relations are the people who build in relationship with other people and solving and trying to be ethical and do the right thing. In diplomacy of problems, people only organize institutions with the hope that the institutions will be able to solve problems. So keep keep attention as you read the book and be able to distinguish between diplomacy of relations, what we call international relations, diplomatic of relations, and diplomacy of problems. All right. So relations will talk about people, diplomacy of relations talk about people, diplomacy of problems talk about institutions. Again, the simple way I can say that diplomatic of problems will refer to institutions, and diplomacy of relation it refer to people relationship. And the last session we will be able to discuss the last section we will be able to discuss, or we'll be able to summarize the book. I'm not going to go through the book. I'm going to give you this introduction because you're going to read the book and you're going to be able to go along. Uh, what about the account detail to pay for the course? Someone asked. And where do we send our proof of payment to? Now, I said this first section of the course, we can take donation if you want, and I can send. We can send it. We can send it. The information to of the organization's account where we can take donation. It's totally up to you. We appreciate donation, but we said the first course is free. But the second course, moving after, if you want to get a diploma in diplomacy, you have to pay. You have to pay for the course. So I will be taking the questions at the end of the presentation. I think I need to do so. Please keep sending your questions, and I will be getting the questions. And I will face the question because the training is recorded, and people want to listen to it after this presentation. So I want them to have the information necessary to be able to pass that test and be able to prepare themselves for the future, and then we can take your questions later. So I have all these questions coming through. So continue sending your questions, Ambassador. I'm a Mercy Sam is doing a great job, and I will answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. I will jump into answer one question and go back so it can be interactive. But I want to make sure of that. So in chapter 1, let's turn your book to chapter 1. So chapter 1, you will see chapter 1, it says 1.1. And 1.1 simply means chapter 1 and objective 1. It's a question. The question the author asks in that book is, what is diplomacy? And that's a question we're going to answer together right now. What is diplomacy? I would love some of you to please answer in your own understanding what is diplomacy. And I will ask you to please type in your answers in so that I can be able to read some of your thoughts. Do not take the answer from the textbook. Do not take the answer from the study guide. Make your brain active right now and just step in here in the chat room to you what diplomacy actually means. I'm going to read your answers as you participate into this. I know somebody says stay waiting for my textbook. Okay, but those of you who have the textbook, you can just. The author asks, "What is diplomacy?" And my question to you is, "What is diplomacy?" Can you please step in that? What is diplomacy? From your own understanding, you don't need a textbook to answer what is diplomacy. You don't have to Google it, my friend. What diplomacy means to you. Now, as you begin to tap in your responses, uh, on 1.1, what is diplomacy? We have our lesson objectives. Pay key attention. The lesson objectives have two key points on what is diplomacy that we're going to be focusing on in the first chapter. Key points. One, we're going to be describing two definitions of diplomacy by the author, Paul Sharp. Two definitions of diplomacy, and we're going to be identifying four key elements in diplomacy that should be involved in every definition. All right, somebody says it's Ambassador Shaka said diplomacy is the relationship between nations. Perfect. Thank you so much. Ambassador June said diplomacy is about relationships with people and country. Perfect. Those are the same things the author said in the book. That's the same thing. Some of you have doing great job here right now. Um, Ambassador Onkar said diplomacy is courtesy, being polite, empathy to help. Good, good. The author talks about that as well in his first definition of diplomacy, and that's perfect. I love that. Uh, Diplomacy, the perfection, activity, or skill of managing international relations, typically by a country's representation abroad. Wow, wow. That's Ambassador Des James. Now, please, folks, I really want you to use your actual name if you put in your definition. So I really need to call you by your actual name. If that's your actual name, okay. Some people using business names, some people using acronym for the name. Please let's use our real name. Ambassador uh Grislin. Ambassador Grislin said, can I see that what she said? A diplomacy is a relationship between people and countries. Perfect. Diplomacy is the perfection, activity, or skill of managing international relations, typically by a country's representation. All right. So I don't know if both of you took it from the book because both of you get the same definition word for word. Now, you see what I'm talking about? Be mindful because both of you gave Ambassador, I'm not going to call your name, I don't want to put you in the spot, but two ambassadors gave the same definition word for word in answering the question. That means you copied it directly from the book, copied from the internet, or you saw someone's definition and then you put it in as the same thing. Now be mindful. Be mindful as you respond to questions because we want to see that you're understanding uh, and you are presenting your own words and your own materials. Don't copy people's words and people material, like I said, from the book. Don't copy it from the internet. Be mindful. Now, if you are being graded, you both of you are being questioned and we are failed on this test because both of you had the same question, word for word, same sentences, and both of you idea cannot be the same word for word, right? So be mindful, like I said. All right. Diplomacy is the ability to help or assist state or an or a nation. You put a two word in nation. Be mindful when you tapping, folks. If you are being graded, you're also going to be we're going to be looking at tapping errors. We're going to be looking at spelling. We're going to be looking at compositions, right? This is a school, so be mindful when you respond to questions. It tells us that you are keen to details. We're going to be when we start to grade your papers, we're going to be looking at spelling errors. We're going to be looking at grammatical errors as a whole. It tells us that you are key to detail. So when you are tapping before submitting your work, please try to proofread what you are submitting to your professors. You can do this online. It's not going to be graded right now, but I'm telling you, when you are trying to send in your test, diplomacy is the art of managing the relationship with people or institution. Again, somebody said the same thing, another person came and said the same thing. So be mindful as you can talk about that. But every one of you did great about diplomacy. uh, but if you see the author begin to talk about, if you look into your book again, we stay on chapter 1, and we on what I call 1.1, what is diplomacy. Uh, According to the author Paul Schack, one of the definition of diplomacy he put forward uh, was by an American humorist whose name we don't know. And the humorist there in the book, if you're taking notes, is spelled Humorist. Humorist. So the first assignment is for you to define the word humorist, and tell me who a humorist is and what is the work of a humorist. 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 Define humorist, your first assignment, and tell us what the work of an humorist is. It gave you a broad understanding of when the author said that his first definition came from an American humorist whose name he did not provide. All right. And the American humorist or humorist, however you pronounce it from your country, define diplomacy as the art of being able to say nice doggo, Doggie, if you look into your textbook. So the second assignment is for you for this week is to be able to define doggo, Doggie, doggo, and what it means by doggo, saying nice doggo, what doggo means to you and in your for your understanding. Define two words: humorist, 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 and define nice doggo, Doggie, what doggo means to you. All right. So the humorist, Paul Schack says, define diplomacy as the act of being able to say nice doggos until you have time to pick up a rock. What are you talking about? Diplomacy must be defined as being able to say nice doggos. First of all, what is a doggo? And why must I be able to say some nice deco to people until I be able to pick up a rock? What that means? Now, to me, this definition, and according to the author, Paul Schack, is also cruel. It's mean. And it has a general view of diplomacy. But at the same time, it involves three key elements that I want you to pay attention to. That definition, according to your book, combines notions of the first element, politeness. It says a diplomat, in other words, a diplomat must be polite. When it says the act of being able to say nice ducko, in other words, a diplomat must be polite. The second thing it tells me that the diplomats live on a deception from the definition. Why? Why should I be able to say some nice things to people until I be able to take some rocks to stone them at the back? And many in diplomacy is like that today. People say nice things. At the same time, when you turn your back, they are stoning you on your back. It's bad diplomacy. So the first thing is the definition shows that the diplomat or the ambassador must be polite. At the same time, he or she is deceptive. He lives in deception. And three, there is a potential for violence. Because if you can pick up a rock, you've been polite to somebody, you say some nice thing to the person's face, and you can pick up a rock to stone them at the back, there is a potential for violence. There is a potential for war. So the first definition is great, but it has the potential for, or the notion that the diplomat is only polite for a season. He lives in deception, and he creating a potential for war or for violence. That's bad diplomacy. So this first definition gives us according to your textbook, gives us a view about diplomacy, but it puts the diplomat or the ambassador in the bad seat. He's pretending to be polite, but it lays on a deception and creating the possibility of war, of or creating a stage for violence. Come on, my friend. Diplomats can be polite, but they should not live in deception. Diplomats can be polite, but don't create the stage for violence. And that's why the future diplomats are mindful as we begin to recruit members into our society. We want to make sure that our diplomats are polite. They don't live in deception. They are not fooling the general public. They are not fooling the people they're going to serve. They are not looking for rocks to stone people at the back. They have the potential to do great and to change the world, but do not have the potential to create violence or create war. Look on the very platform that we exist. People are there creating stages of war. People are showing deception. Look in your very environment. See the ambassadors and diplomats in our community. See how some of them are living in deception. They don't keep the word. They say one thing and they do something else. Don't create the platform for war, my friend. Don't create the notion of being deceptive. So this definition of diplomacy is not good to me at all. Because how can I say good things? Give me the opportunity to pick up rags. It's bad, bad. Now, if you look at the second definition of the book, please let the questions keep coming. I'm going to answer them. If you look at the second definition of diplomacy in the book, uh, the writer talks about on a more serious note. He defines or used the definition of a former 19th century British diplomat. A 19th century British diplomat name of Sir Ernest Sator. So Sir Ernest Sator, Satow, defined diplomats like this, quote unquote: the application of intelligence and tied to the conduct of official relations between independent states. Remember this definition? But Sir Ernest Sator. Now, when you hear sir, it simply means honor, S-I-R, the earner or ambassador, whatever. But he was a British diplomat, and so he was referred to as Sir Ernest. Oh God, I love he has my first name. Oh, I have his first name, Ernest. Ernest Sator, and he defined diplomacy as, take note of this, take note right now if you're taking note, the application of intelligence and the tact, TACT, to the conduct of official relations between independent states. Now, giving the idea of how people think about diplomacy today, this definition is narrow. But this definition combines three elements, which every definition of diplomacy must have in it. And I want to give you these three elements. Remember these elements. People still defining diplomacy, and we go far into the into the. Thank you for still sending your input. We're going to far into that. But the definition of diplomacy by Ernest Stewart says that the application of intelligence. Look at the two words: intelligence and tied, TACT, to the content of official relations between what we call independent states. You know, independent states would be countries, right? But I said this definition of diplomacy is narrow. It's not broad enough. At the same time, it combines three elements that is very important and necessary in every definition. Let me give you the three elements. Take note of these three elements. One, first, that definition says that diplomacy is about relations. Relations, RELATIONS, relations. Because the definition says the application of intelligence and tied to conduct official relations. So that definition talks about diplomacy must involve one, relation. Two, let's talk about who the relations are between. Who the relations are between. The relations are between people or independent states. If you go back to the definition, he says that the application of intelligence and tied to the conduct of official relations between independent states. So there should be players. There should be active players that we call ambassadors or diplomats who are involved in negotiation between these states. So the first thing is that again it talks about relations, and the relations should be between people. And who are the people? Independent states, or the players of independent states. And the third principle that our definition shows, it talks about how these relationships should be conducted. How? It should be conducted through what? Intelligence and tied, TACT. Now, assignment number 3, define tact and what it means to be a tactful ambassador. If define assignment number 3 for this week, define the word tight, TACT, tight, and how that word relates to you becoming an effective ambassador or diplomat. Don't forget, I gave you 3 assignments. I want it by Sunday before 11 uh 59. So again, the definition is broad, but it gave us 3 things. One, it talks about diplomacy involve relations between people or institutions, government, and also involves how the relationship should be conducted. That means that an ambassador should be intelligent, have intelligence, and be tactful. Now, do not use my word for that, but I can tell you that tactfulness also can contribute to your skills, your qualification that empowered you to becoming an ambassador, an effective ambassador. So your tactfulness can also be related to your skills. All right, somebody said, bad network, please repeat all 3 assignments. Again, thanks. Assignment is just to define the 3 words. Anybody who got the assignment, I don't have time to go through back to what I started maybe 30 minutes ago. So it will just show our time and our class back. So please, if you cannot remember the assignment, inbox me. But if you are here and you remember the 3 assignments, can you please type those assignments into the chat room so your colleagues can have them? Let's be a team player now. Don't give them the answer, be a team player, but you can be able to just tap in the 3 assignments. The 3 assignments have been definitions, right? Definitions. Don't forget definitions. I said again, define humorist, HOMORIST, and what it means to be a humorist. Define the word Google, document, DOGGIE, and what say next documents. And I also said define the word tight, TACT, tight, and how that relates to becoming an effective representative or ambassador. All right. So as well in the text, you will discover, we stay in your textbook, chapter 1, 1.1, 1.1, what is diplomacy? Somewhere in your textbook, as you read, you will see that the author says that Mr. Ernest Stowell and others are the 4 component that diplomatic relationships are undertaken by official accredited representatives. All right. So diplomatic relationships are undertaken by officially accredited representatives of states, which mean countries. Any question? We stay on a one-on-one. What is diplomacy? So we go to everything is in your textbook, folks. I'm just going by that. Yeah, someone just said that's the third question. Someone just said, okay, that's Ambassador Ama Mercy Sandwich. She said, define tight and what it means to be a tactful ambassador. That's correct. That was the 3rd assignment. I gave 3 already. That was the 3rd assignment. Second assignment says define the word doco. That's correct. Ambassador Summer is doing great. Again, that's Ambassador Summer. Define the word doco and what it means in the definition of diplomacy. That's correct. Ambassador Summer, I gave you a great thing. So she said define humorist, Doko, and Task. That's Ambassador Mohammed. Thank you, folks. You are following this section, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But everything is in your textbook, folks. As you read your book, I'm just going through your text. I'm just going through every chapter, taking up the key points that I want you to understand and I want you to follow, because these key points are important. So, if we can go back to the definition again of the second definition, the author said that, uh, or the application, the definition of diplomacy is the application of intelligence and tied to the content of official relations between uh, independent states. We know what independent states are, right? Independent states are countries that have their independence. We're going to be talking about that in detail into this course. Independent state, and he gave three things relating to that. He said, first, diplomacy revolves relations. Diplomatic Second, diplomatic revolves uh, relation, but who the relationship should be between, and how the relationship is, and how diplomacy is carried about. And he said it's carried about through intelligence and tact, right? Uh, but let's talk about the four elements that every diplomatic definition must carry. There are four elements that we call the framework that is challenging diplomacy today, and the framework itself remain a good thing to our diplomatic forum. Four key things. Remember the key things. It's important because you have to learn them. Any attempt to define diplomacy must involve these four elements. What are they? One, classifying diplomacy as a form of human relations. So if you want to define diplomacy, diplomacy must be able to relate or define in your definition. It must have something about human relations. Diplomacy is not just about institution. It's about people to people relationship. And that's why many times some people just call it international relations. And you come to understand in your textbook, when we even talk about diplomacy, it involves different things to different countries. Some people just call diplomacy as international relations because diplomacy must involve people to people, right? We're going to talk about that as we go about that. But the first definition, remember, must include human relationship. The second thing in defining diplomacy as a project or as an assignment, or when you work as as a diplomat or as an ambassador, your definition must simplify the entities between whom the relationships are undertaken. So relationships in diplomacy are important, but on whom these relationships are undertaken through ambassadors or diplomatic officials. And we will come to understand that there are a lot of different types of diplomacy within diplomacy. It's funny, but there are many different types of diplomacies that we find within diplomacy. I'm not going to jump ahead of the class, but it is interesting for you to understand that. All right, someone says, I'm learning new things. All right, it's good you are learning new things. Okay, please. Someone said I haven't gotten my textbook yet. I don't know. 1 hour from, but you please wait. Uh, Almost 80 people we send in textbook to. I believe that you're gonna get your textbook. But uh, uh, the first thing we said, your definition must clarify diplomacy as a form of a relationship. The second thing, you need to specify who the relationship is between, Uh, the third thing when you define in diplomacy, you must identify the people who undertake the relationship. Who are the people? Because there are different actors in international relations. There are different actors in who we call diplomats. Who are those actors? How are they involved in diplomacy? And the fourth point, you need to your definition need to suggest how the relationships are to be undertaken to be successful. How diplomats can undertake those relationships. How can they undertake those uh, those relationships and relations for them to be effective? Again, read your textbooks, folks. All these things are in your textbook. Important that I will take some questions and then I will go to the chapter notes, the study notes in your study guide. Now we just finished with the first chapter. You see how summarize the entire chapter. You know, a lot of pages. I just summarized them, and that's the entire chapter. And those are things that we want you to pay key attention to as you begin to study your course. Now I want to talk about your study notes. Within your study guide, there are study notes. Those of you who don't have the study notes, I want you to take note as I begin to go through what is in your study note. Still now, no textbook. Okay, folks, I say if you don't have a textbook, please just inbox us after everything else. Inbox us at student services at FD School of Diplomacy.org. We posted the email address and we're going to get your textbook to you. I don't know what happened to Ambassador David. I know he's trying to get a textbook across. I really don't know what's happening. Uh, uh, Ambassador, Ambassador Ama, Ambassador Ama Mercy. Uh, I do not want you to, if you don't want to, but if you can also share, inbox your email to some of the people who are asking, I will have the textbook be sent to you so you can send it to some of the people to help Ambassador David. Ambassador Mercy Aman, if you can, Mercy Aman Samuel, I always forget her last name. If you can also share your email inbox to some of the people who are asking, inbox, I will also get the textbook over to you so that you can be able to distribute them as well. Now, according to we stay on what is diplomacy. According to our study notes, I gave you some definition of diplomacy as well. I gave you some definition of diplomacy as well. According to our study note says that diplomacy is the art and the science of maintaining peaceful relationships between nations, between groups, or individuals. Remember this definition? According to our study notes that I put in the study guide, I define diplomacy as the art and the science of maintaining peaceful relationships between nations, between groups, or individuals. Oftentimes, a diplomacy refers to what we call representatives of different groups discussing and sharing ideas on, I would say, four important things. Or let me say five important things. Let me say five important things. One, they'll be discussing issues such as conflict, conflict, conflict. They can be discussing trade, trade, trade. They can be discussing the environment, example, climate change. They can be discussing technology that are affecting our system, and they can be discussing security. Again, remember these five impacts. People who are involved in diplomacy can be discussing four important things. They may either be discussing conflict, war around the world. They're engaged in conflicts between nations, between groups of people, between individuals. So if you perceive conflict, we all can be diplomats because even in our families, we have conflicts. Even in our marriages, in our relationships, we have conflicts. So if you are engaging or practicing in conflict resolution, you become a diplomat. So this gives us a broader understanding of diplomacy. So diplomats are people who are discussing and getting involved in conflict resolution. They are discussing trade. Are you a business person and you are doing business and you are discussing trade? You become a diplomat. At the United Nations Convention, they don't just discuss war. They talk about trade and trade engagement and country investment. They talk about trade, businesses, and they talk about the environment, sanitation, clean environment, good sanitation, climate change. They also talk about technology. In fact, they have developed a new technology that is called the AI. As the AI is called artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is a computer system that has been developed. And in fact, right now, in the AI is diagnosing cancers where other machines have not been diagnosed. In fact, the AI had just caused a man to walk who had an accident. He was paralyzed, and they attached it to his brain, and the computer system technology, the computer system it passed through his spinal cord, it passes and went through the tissues, and the computer, the AI, is sending information to his brain, and his brain is telling him when the part of the brain that is not functioning is telling him he can walk. So the brain, the AI, the artificial intelligence is sending information to his brain, and his brain is sending information or signal to his leg and say you must walk. He had been paralyzed for years, could not walk. And doctor that knows him, he was never going to walk. But technology, artificial intelligence, AI, is not causing him to walk. It has been added to science. I want you to make a research on AI, artificial intelligence, and tell me what you think. Examine number 4 of number 5, number 4. Make a research on AI, artificial intelligence, and tell me how artificial intelligence, in line with technology, can play a vital part to diplomacy. How intelligent or artificial intelligence can play a vital part to diplomacy and the role that ambassadors need to play. Hope you have that assignment. Yes, assignment is due 11:55 a.m. up to 11:55 and 11:59, but by 12 o'clock your assignment is late. All right, I'm yet to get my textbook. Okay, but please take note of this one. People who practice diplomacy are called diplomats. Take note of this. People who practice diplomacy are called diplomats. Diplomats. People who practice diplomacy are called diplomats. and they are engaged in other conflict resolution. They are engaged in trade. They are engaged in environmental issues. They are engaged in technology. They are engaged in security, making our world a better place. They are called diplomats. Thank you, Ambassador Mercy. Yes, the fourth assignment is make a research on artificial intelligence, AR, and explain how AI can play a vital part in diplomacy and the roles of ambassadors. Perfectly well spoken, well said. Ambassador Amma Mercy Samuel, I gave you a thumb up. You are doing excellent. How could I survive this training today without you? I appreciate you. So listen to this one. Take note of this. A group of diplomats representing one country that lives in another country is called a diplomatic mission. Take note of this. A group of diplomats representing one country that lives in another country. If you're from Pakistan and you got 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5 people from Pakistan in India representing the Pakistani government or representing an institution, they are on a diplomatic mission. So a group of diplomats who are representing one country that lives in another country is called a diplomatic mission. So it's a difference between a diplomat and a diplomatic mission. The diplomats are people who are practicing diplomacy, and the diplomatic mission are the people who are representing, and the diplomacy mission are the people who live in another country for representing their country. For instance, we have people representing us right now, and for the 8 different nations. When I'm talking about us, I'm talking about the future diplomats cooperation, helping to make our world a better place, helping to interact with citizens of that country, helping to relate with the government, their government, and making sure that everyone has equal opportunity in their country. They are on a diplomatic mission. They are on a diplomatic mission. And that mission is to be able to protect the interest of the future diplomats, be able to be able to provide services to their citizens that are worthwhile, provide meaningful services to take the people from suffering to a social class, social social opportunities, or social equal opportunities, to be able to take them from a lower class to an upper class. They are representing us. Now they are on a diplomatic mission. So every ambassador who goes to this training and get your ambassadorial credential, you're going to be on a diplomatic mission, helping to serve your country, providing equal opportunities for people who are living within your country. You're on a diplomatic mission. Your role is not to get involved in the governmental affairs. Your role is not just to criticize your government, but to help your government be able to provide the services that the people need within your community. Is to be able to unite with other NGOs to be able to provide meaningful services that your people have or your people need. All those services that are lacking in your community. You are on a diplomatic mission. So each one of you who's going through this training, you are gonna be called a diplomat who is on a diplomatic mission. And what is our diplomatic mission? According to our course note, a diplomatic mission are people who are on assignment, getting rid of conflict, engaging in trade, making sure people having fair benefits, making sure that things are not escalating, people can afford the basic needs, That's one of your diplomatic mission, my friend. Make sure people in your country can afford their basic needs. Get against inflation. What things prices are getting so hard? It should be one of the works of our diplomats to get involved and fight against inflation. Why milk and butter, the basic commodities that people need to survive? Why are they so hard? So get involved in trade. Get involved in in the environment. What our environment is dirty. Why can we clean our environment? Climate change. You are on a diplomatic mission. Technology. How people are using internet to scam other people. Part of your diplomatic operation to be able to track those who are scammers, who are using the internet to be able to scam other people. Make sure you are providing securities, other cyber security. What are security on what I call boots on ground? Getting rid of those who are involved in armed robbery, getting involved in those who are causing chaotic situation to your citizens. You are on a diplomatic mission. That's why you become a diplomat or an ambassador with the future diplomats. So it is important. So it's important. So a group of diplomats representing the country's diplomats. Uh, so a permanent diplomatic mission is called an embassy. I'm wrapping up in the notes here. I'm going to close right now, and I'm going to take your questions. Uh, so I'm going to close on this note right now, so I can take your question. A a a a permanent diplomatic mission is called an embassy, and the embassy. That's why many embassies are around the world, and that's what the future diplomats is going to have. The In every country, we're going to have what we call the embassy of the future diplomats, right? And so an embassy uh, uh, should be in every country. An ambassador is the lead diplomat at an embassy. So an ambassador is the lead diplomat in an embassy. All right. So I'm going to stop here. We're going to conclude. There is going to be no class tomorrow. I took all this time to complete the notes that we should be having today and tomorrow. Remember, you are being today. Uh, 1 hour 30 minutes today and 1 hour 30 minutes tomorrow. 3 hours, but I canceled tomorrow class, so that's what I took. 2 hours for today instead of 3 hours. So there will be no class tomorrow, Tuesday, and we'll come back on Thursday, right? And we'll continue. We'll pick up from where I stopped. Remember, we stopped on a permanent diplomatic mission is called an embassy, and the key person who runs an embassy is called a or an ambassador. Let me go ahead and take your questions. We're going to pick up from where we stopped. No class tomorrow, so start reading your books and do ahead. It's going to be 1 hour 30 minutes on Thursday, so please come on time. It's going to be 1 hour 30 minutes on Thursday, right? Make sure I've been tomorrow and Thursday again, but I cancel tomorrow class. Tomorrow Tuesday there is no class, so we're going to come back on Thursday. Let me take some questions that we have here, and then we can close. Uh, we can close. So I cover today and tomorrow into this section, please. And so you are all for tomorrow. Let me take some questions right now. I know the last question that I answered was The last question that someone asked was, Ambassador, uh, Shinwe, Chinwe, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. That question was, what about account details to pay for course for the course, and where do we send the money? I said that this course we can take donation if you want to donate to us. If you inbox us, we'll send you the account details where you can be able to contribute for the course. And we really appreciate it because somebody paid for this course for you today. So that if you can contribute towards somebody else to attend this course, we really, really appreciate it. Remember, we sent you the textbook free. That textbook alone, if you're paying for that textbook, is 45 US dollars just for that textbook I sent you. The study guide that I created, if you're paying for the study guide, is $30, 30 US dollars. So just the textbook, between 35 to $45. And for that textbook, all depends where you're going to buy the textbook, either on Amazon or whatever. You're going to pay between 35 to $45. That excluding your shipment. And then the study guide that I put together is nothing less than $30 that will charge 30 US dollars for that text. So that's the textbook alone and the study guide. You pay more than $70 to $75 if you're attending that school at another university or even for us. Right, so we just give you a $75 materials free of charge, 75 US dollars material free of charge, and we just spend 2 hours talking to you free of charge with all you paying us. So please, if you want to contribute, we appreciate it because we still have about 500 students that will be coming the next 2 days, and we have 1,000, I think, and some additional students waiting to get enrolled. You are you have been opportune to get started. Please don't miss your study time. Please clock in and clock out when you come in because we're going to file your attendance. Don't cause us to drop you when you start missing classes because somebody needs your position or your seat you're sitting right now. Another person wants to sit into this seat. They were excluded or not given the time because of you today. So please contribute financially for the other students that come in who are less privileged. We appreciate that. So we're going to send you the link. We're going to publish the link, the bank account, if you want to do that. But let's talk to the other question somebody said. A concern from Ambassador Favor. We cannot listen to you and go through our textbook simultaneously, sir. You can do that. That's why you have to download the textbook on a computer. If you're looking at it on your cell phone and trying to listen to me, you have to find a way in which you can do that, right? You have to download the textbook or you can print the textbook. That's why it's in a PDF platform. Print 3 or 4 pages at a time. Print your textbook, print it out, laminate it, bind it like this, and you can open the textbook. As we can open your printed pages, folks. I have mine. You can open your printer pages and be going to the printer pages of your textbook. There's not a whole book. There is sections per section, right? So this session that I deal with today, next day, the session I'm going to be dealing with, I do it section per section. So you can print all your materials at your local printing shop or at your computer. Print your textbook out. Maybe print maybe chapter one, the first 20 or 30 pages, print it back and forth, to give you space, and you can be able to go to the textbook as long as and you listen to me. It's very easy to do, friend. Do not give excuse. If you're in classroom, how are you not studying? I sent you the textbook, and you say you can go to the textbook and listen to me at the same time. That shows that you're not prepared to go to the training, folks. Another person said, how long will the lecture take? A breakdown of the required hours a day and how many days a week. Good. I just said it before then that it should have been 1 hour 30, 2 hours today, with question and answer, 2 hours tomorrow, 4 hours. But I did not. I went through 2 hours with you today. For today and tomorrow, no class tomorrow. Tomorrow, no class Tuesday, but on Thursday you're going to come back and you're going to be for another 2 hours. Remember, it's a It's a 2 hour credit program, so you need 3 hours credit program, so you need at least 1 hour 30 minutes a day to get your full credit. Right? So prepare to spend the same 1 hour 30 minutes with me on Thursday, and then 30 minutes of question and answer. Everything gonna be 1 hour or 2 hours. Between 1 hour 30 minutes and 2 hours. That's gonna be. And most of you will come in late, and most of you are coming. We will start late. We have to wait for you. We took almost 45 minutes just to give you the instruction, just to wait for your textbook. So remember, waiting for your textbook, waiting for you getting instruction. Uh, Everything also delay. Uh, also delay your 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 textbook. Also delayed your textbook. Um, your textbook also delayed the presentation. So sorry for that. Another person asked, please, sir, how many hours is the lecture? I just said it, 1 hour, 30 minutes, but I did 2 hours. I did 2 days, Monday and Tuesday for today. So only Thursday you have. But we're gonna break it in 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays for you. I'm having another group of students coming. Will be Monday. That will be starting next week, Mondays and Fridays. So I have 4 days a week, and you students having 2 days a week. Uh, Good evening, sir. Thank you for the excellent presentation. You stated earlier the four key elements in the definition of diplomacy, but I only got one. 4 elements. Please pay attention. Okay, the 4 elements. Let me go by and help you. If you're paying attention, this one is for Ambassador Mohammed. Is that Dauda, Dauda, Ambassador Dauda? You want to know the 4 elements. So the first element in the definition of diplomacy it says, what did I say? The 4 elements. Okay, classifying diplomacy as a form of relationship. We must be able to classify diplomacy in our elaboration that diplomacy involves relationships. We must specify point number 2, specify the entities between whom the relationships, are undertaken. Point number 3, identify who the players, the key actors, or the people who are undertaking these relationships. Because I said in diplomacy, there are different players, there are key players in diplomacy. There are different types of ambassadors or diplomatic operations. So you need to understand, identify the people who are involved in the relationships. And the last point is your 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 definition must suggest how relationships are to be undertaken for diplomatic missions to be successful or effective, suggesting how the relationships should be undertaken. So you are talking about classification, simplifying, identifying, and suggesting. I'm going to give it in the simple we can understand. One is classifying, classing. Two is simplifying, specifying, specifying, specifying. Three is identifying, DENTIFYING, identifying. And three, suggesting, SUGGESTING, suggesting. So simplify, I mean, classify human relations, simplify the entities of the relationship, identify the people involved, and suggest how the operations should be undertaken. All right. Hope the 4 points clarify your thoughts. Lastly, I think the last question will be, oh God, where do we submit our assignments? Assignments should be sent to the email I put in there. I'm going to put the email again lastly so you can see that. We said send your email to student, student, services, student services at FD, that's for future diploma, SCHOOL, school, OF of diplomacy, DIPLOMACY.org. I just send them out into the chat room. Send your assignments to student services at future at FD. Again, student services at FD School of Diplomacy.org. And if you don't have it, just inbox me. We will. I think that's all for the presentation today, folks. That's the introduction to your book, Introduction to Future Diplomacy. Thank you for listening. Please come back and listen to this broadcast again. It's going to be live on our platform, the YouTube channel, and I hope that you will submit your assignment. I wish you the best of luck in your new career, learning diplomacy and becoming an ambassador with the future diplomats. Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions that we have. I think that's all the questions we have for now. Again, please like this video. Please subscribe if you know people who are not, and please share this video today. Please share it. Share with the world. Share with people who never had time to listen. This is an embedded teaching that people need. Please share this teaching. I wish you all the best of luck in your studies. Again, click on the link. Share. Please don't just share. I want you to like the video. We have more than 400 subscribers, but we have only maybe you know 60 or 75 people liking our videos. It's unbelievable. Please like when you watch after, just go and like. I ask every one of you, 75 of you who stay with me up to now, please just go and like this video. Please like this video and please share. Thank you so much. I will see you not tomorrow. I will see you on Thursday at the same time. Please, let's start on time. Please come 10 minutes. Come 10 minutes to our start time. So we can test all the equipments. We can make sure within the 10 minutes, those of you who never had your books, we can verify that you have all your books, and then we can start on time. So please come 10 minutes to class time on Thursday, and I will meet you on Thursday. It's going to be 11 o'clock my time. Some of you is going to be 11 o'clock California time. Some of you is going to be 7 o'clock. For some of you, it's going to be 8. For some of you, it's going to be 6 o'clock. But let's start 10 minutes to the time. Well, please like right now. Share. As I talk to you, share this video. Thank you so much. I'll be waiting to see your assignments. If you need any question, if you have any question, you need any clarity, you need concern, please inbox me. Go home today. Wherever you are, begin reading your textbooks today. You have the whole chapter 1 to read. Please read chapter 1. We'll begin chapter 2 next week. Read chapter 1 of your textbook this week. Take note of everything and send your question. Thank you so much. Again, you can visit us on our YouTube channel, and you can also subscribe. You can catch us at www.futurediplomats.org. You can also find us on www.fdschoolofdiplomacy.org. Thank you. Those of you who want to donate, please inbox me. Please inbox us, email us, and we will send you the bank account where you can make your donation. It goes directly to the Future Diplomat School of Diplomacy account, not to an individual. Do not let anybody send you any link to say pay here. Please let that link come from me or from one of our authority that will announce. The link will be posted in our general box. Please do not accept any link from anybody to tell you to pay for the courses in your inbox. Don't accept any link from anybody. It must come from our officials. And the first official will be me, your DG Ernest Gibson. And it should be a link, a bank account directly to the future diplomats, not to an individual. Thank you. God bless you. I will talk to you again on Thursday. Have a good night. Have a good day. Bye bye.